Good morning, good morning, good morning. Such is the nature of life that all it asks and all it wants is the opportunity to appear. You are that opportunity, and so am I, and so it is. I hope everyone's doing well this morning. So good to be here. Welcome to CSL Midtown, coming to you this morning from Atlanta, Georgia. We're so glad that you have chosen to join us today. We welcome all people, everyone, no matter who you are or where you are in your life. We welcome you to be here, to be listening either online, either live right now or later on our recording. Our center reflects a beautiful, diverse tapestry of life. And so we welcome you, whoever you are, and whatever brought you here today. Know that you are in the right place and that this is the right time for you. We know that you are an individual expression of the divine life in which we all live. And you are welcome to participate here today and to become a part of our community. So we hope that if you're watching this, that you'll share this on social media with your friends. We're trying to get the word out about wonderful CSL Midtown. So help us with that. For a better understanding of who we are and what we teach, listen now to our Declaration of Principles as written by our founder, Dr. Ernest Holmes.
A few of the Declaration of Principles we live by.
I believe in one God, one absolute power, and first cause to all things.
I believe that this power is perfect love, and it creates out of a desire to express love.
I believe all thought is creative, and how I choose to think creates my personal experience.
I believe in the unity of all life, and the immortality of the individual soul forever unfolding.
I believe in the eternal goodness, the eternal loving kindness, and the eternal givingness of God to all.
And so it is.
So grateful. All right. Boy, those are great words to live by. My name is Judy Ailey, and I am the moderator and practitioner for today's service. You know, today, this is the 5th Sunday of August, so we're at the end of the month, and we have been in studying the theme of On the Wings of Love, and this week's theme is Love's Descent. The spiritual principle of oneness reminds us of our interconnectedness, that our voice, our choices, our actions have an impact on those around us. Everything we say, everything we choose, everything we do, it really does matter. And all of these actions can be guided by love. Descending into love means more than just caring for ourselves, although that's a piece of it. It includes caring for all of life. We embrace our connection to all beings and recognize our impact. Everything we do influences the world, where we shop, where we travel, what we eat, how we speak to others. We cannot separate ourselves from the world. Our existence is intertwined. We matter and have an impact on life simply by being alive. In this teaching, we say love points the way and law makes the way possible. Law means the constant, unchanging aspect of what we call God or universal power. Love is the powerful influence that can guide us on our way. We can consciously choose to let love lead us, where our thoughts, where our actions, where our interactions go. When love is at the forefront of our lives, the law will work through us. The law or God is looking for an outlet in the world, and you are that outlet. I am that outlet. We can cultivate love in our hearts and minds. Let love be your compass and trust that law will take care of the rest. Those are my thoughts on love this morning. Now I'd like to lead us in a spiritual mind treatment or affirmative prayer. So let us just relax for a moment and allow ourselves to be fully present in this moment, right here, right now. And if you're comfortable in a good, comfortable spot, I hope that you are. You can breathe, take some slow, deep breaths, and allow your focus to become present right here and right now, letting go of whatever you've been doing before this moment, letting go of whatever's coming next. If you're thinking about what you're going to do later today, just let go of that and know that the present moment is the moment of great creation. It's your creative power is in the present moment. And as I do this, please accept this treatment for yourself in the first person, as I do this in the first person for me. I recognize and know that there is one power and one presence in the world, that this power we call God, universal intelligence, love, is everywhere present. It is the vibrancy of life. It's the vibrancy of life in our bodies, in our cells, in every part of us, and in everything that we see that appears to be outside of us, whether it appears to be something alive or not alive, that this vibrancy of life is everywhere, and that this power is a power for good, and that I know that I am never, that we are never separated from this presence, from this power, no matter what the appearance of things may be in our life, that we are one with this power, that we are one with this presence, that we are one with this goodness. And because of this oneness, this wholeness, that we are interconnected, that what we do in our lives matter, that we can be divinely guided and led by love in all of our actions, in our thoughts, and in our lives. So we just surrender to this loving presence that is our life, that is the very vibrancy of who and what we are. So as we do this, I know that in my life and in the lives of those listening, that all is well, that opportunities are endless, that creativity is endless, that abundance is our natural state of being, that we are taken care of by this presence and this power, that our needs are met, that our natural state of being is one of vibrant health and aliveness, that we are here to express love in the world, and we simply allow this to be. We turn away from anything within us that feels contrary to this. We turn away from fear, from worry, from lack, from ideas of limitation of any kind, and know that this presence and this power surrounds us and loves us and only desires the very best for us. So we surrender to this, knowing that all is well and all is in perfect order and expanding in greater and greater good in the world. So I'm just grateful for knowing this. I am grateful for being here right now, and we just allow this presence to express through our speaker today and through all of those who are present in hearing this message. So I'm just grateful for this. I release this treatment now, and we let it be so. And so it is. All right. So it's my great pleasure to introduce our speaker this morning. Reverend Dr. Cynthia Paulsen is an interfaith and religious science minister, a divine science spiritual practitioner, motivational speaker, and author. She is the author of a book entitled Undoing the Knots, Reclaiming Our Good. And she recently completed her Doctor of Divinity with Emerson Institute. So we now call her Reverend Dr. Cynthia Paulsen. She's busy writing a new book, and she joins us this morning from Brookings, Oregon. No stranger to CSL Midtown. So glad you're here today. Looking forward to your talk. Welcome.
Thank you so much, Judy. I miss you all. I'm so glad to be here. Hey, let's start with a question for you to think about. Why does a minister choose the topic that they talk about? Have you ever wondered that? Sometimes, we choose a topic because the center has requested a specific topic. CSL Midtown very graciously gives speakers, not only a suggested topic, but some notes for the idea and, where you might want to take it. But we're also free to choose our own idea, of course, as long as it's related to new thought, philosophy, and science of mind. So today I have chosen my own idea that still fits the theme for the month, and I thought I would explain why. When I was writing my first book and learning how to be an author, how to write a book, I didn't know how to do that. And one piece of advice that I stumbled upon more than once was the idea that as an author, you should write the book that you want to read. You write it for yourself. And it makes your writing very authentic because it's the book that you need. So that is kind of what is going on here today. As a minister, I have chosen this topic that I'm about to talk about because just like with a book, I had to write the sermon that I need to hear. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. Not that this is all about me. I am counting on the fact that if I need to hear these ideas and this message, then you might need to hear them too. Now, I always kind of pride myself on being very open and honest in my talks, and I probably share way too much about my personal life. I'm very down to earth. I like to keep it real. So I'm going to begin by just keeping it real and admitting that I am uncomfortable these days and I am struggling a little. I am uncomfortable with the state of the world. I'm uncomfortable with things that I see happening in our country. Even I'm uncomfortable even what's happening in my state and my city, my community that I live in. I am aware of pain and suffering that is happening, human pain and suffering. And much of it is a result of human against human cruelty and greediness, and racism and classism, uh, selfishness, just power grabs. You get the idea. I'm uncomfy. Maybe you're uncomfortable too. So, the topic for today is this great, juicy, new thought concept that I think pertains to my discomfort. I have only gotten glimpses of understanding about this subject, but the best way to learn something is to teach it. So I am teaching myself right along with you guys today. The concept is that there really are only two emotions that we can feel: love and fear. You've probably heard this before, that all the other emotions that we can feel and experience are actually just derivatives of those two, love and fear. And of course, the new thought perspective is that of these two emotions, fear isn't real. Fear is, I love me a good acronym, right? So fear is false evidence appearing real. Or another great one I've heard is fear is forgetting everything's all right. So, this pain and suffering, these things that I'm seeing going on in the world, are causing me to feel the emotion of fear. They are based in fear. These are, fearful situations and conditions and actions. I can recognize that. I am also self aware enough and spiritual enough, as are all of you, to know that fear is a choice. I can choose to focus on and feel love instead. How do I do that? How do I release this fear? So that's where we're headed ultimately today. But let's talk a little more about this idea. I first came across this concept, I'm not kidding, probably like 12, 15 years ago, early on in my spiritual journey. A lot of people have written about this idea of there being only the two emotions, from, A Course in Miracles people to psychology and self-help authors to New Thought teachers that we're all familiar with. So here's what some of them have to say about this. In chapter 13, section 5 of A Course in Miracles, it explicitly says, you have but two emotions, love and fear. It goes on to explain that one of these emotions, fear, is an illusion. It's not real. It is a misperception of reality. Marianne Williamson, in her book, A Return to Love, which is about the principles found in A Course in Miracles, says that love is what we're born with. Fear is what we learned here. The spiritual journey is the relinquishment or unlearning of fear and the acceptance of love back into our hearts. She says, is our ultimate reality and purpose on earth, to be consciously aware of it, to experience love in ourselves and others is the meaning of life. That is like a mic drop moment, right? Ugh, I say yes to that. I bet you say yes to that too. It is a lovely, beautiful message. Do you sense a but coming? It's a lovely, beautiful message. But even though we as humans can be told that our fear is not real, we still feel it. Pretty much all these authors that I'm going to quickly go through suggest that in order to transcend fear, we must move to love. Elizabeth Kubler-Ross was a psychiatrist and an author who studied death and dying, and she wrote about that. And she wrote about this topic of the two emotions because the dying, the terminally ill, are confronting arguably the biggest fear that humans have, the fear of death. And in her book, Life Lessons, she also says there are only two emotions, but she says it isn't love and fear. She says it's love or fear. She makes that distinction because you cannot feel these emotions together at the same time. They're opposites. She says if we are in fear, we are not in a place of love. And if we're in a place of love, we can't be in fear. I think that's a cool thing to think about. And this quote from her, I really appreciated as well. We have to make a decision to be in one place or the other. There is no neutrality in this. If you don't actively choose love, you will find yourself in a place of either fear or one of its component feelings. Those other emotions that come from fear, like anger, resentment, anxiety, despair. She said every moment offers the choice to choose one or the other, and we must continually make these choices. Okay, it's a choice. Wayne Dyer, I know you all know who he is, prolific self-help author, motivational speaker. He also made the distinction about either being in one or the other, love or fear. In fact, he went so far as to say that love and fear are mutually exclusive. Where one exists, the other cannot. And he also wrote about the element of choice, that when we are faced with a scary situation, we can choose to approach it with a loving, joyful self rather than a fearful one. He suggested continuously sending love in response to hate and negativity. So again, he's saying that this is conscious work to move from a place of fear to love. It's a choice and it takes effort. Our good friend Ernest Holmes wrote in The Science of Mind that fear is the greatest enemy of man. And I would edit that to say, the greatest fear of humankind. He said, but fear is a mental attitude and as such can be converted into something else. I love that. I'm going to say it again. Fear is a mental attitude, so it can be converted into something else. He taught us that love dissolves fear, just like light overcomes darkness. The radiant presence of love dissipates fear and hate and confusion. Love is pretty darn powerful. And in case we forgot, this is essentially biblical scripture. 1 John 4:18 tells us that there is no fear in love. Perfect love casts out fear. He who fears has not been made perfect in love. He who fears has not been made perfect in love. Wait a minute. We know we have been made perfect in love. So if we are fearful, we're forgetting that spiritual truth about ourselves. Louise Hay, famous New Thought author and teacher, I know you all know who she is. She believed that fear and all the emotions that stem from it cause more problems for human beings than anything else. She said fear causes problems in our physical bodies, our relationships, our work, our prosperity. She said the only thing she ever worked on with her clients was releasing fear and replacing it with love, usually self-love. She believed that is the best way to dissolve our human problems. So how do we do it? Sorry. I found some helpful things, okay? I was not going to deliver this talk unless I brought the goods, so buckle up. Here we go. In her book, You Can Heal Your Life, Louise Hay asks us to consider how we are treating ourselves when we are afraid and fearful. So think about that for a moment. How do you treat yourself when you feel afraid? Are you angry at yourself? Are you disappointed? Yeah, yeah. I know my spiritual truth, right? I study it, I practice it every day. I know the power of divine love, and yet it is so easy for me to say to myself, with my own self talk, you should know better than to be fearful. You know the truth. That's not cool. So Louise suggests that you imagine yourself as a little 3-year-old child standing in front of you, afraid. The child is afraid. What would you do? Would we be angry or disappointed in the child? Would you tell them they should know better? No, of course not. We would comfort the child who is afraid. We would probably hug the child and tell them we love them. So you can start with remembering to be kind to yourself when you are afraid. Love and comfort yourself. That is good advice to start with, okay? Be nice. Be nice. That's what I tell myself. Be nice. There is a Unity book by H. Emily Cady called Lessons in Truth that talks about fear as an error thought. And one of the specific methods that she suggests to move from fear to love is denial, which sounds almost silly, like, oh, okay, I'm just going to live in denial. No, that's not really what it means, because in New Thought, we know that denial is a tool, it's a spiritual tool. So she says when fears come up, and they will, you meet each one with a denial. And this is the language she recommends that we use. She's very specific and tells us to say, there is nothing in all the universe for me to fear, because greater is he that is within me than he that is in the world. I love that. That shifts our thought to the loving, infinite power of the divine that is within us. She says to calmly and coolly say to yourself about the thing, that is nothing at all. It cannot harm or disturb me or make me unhappy. I am not afraid. I am perfect love and can know no fear. Emily Cady reminds us that denial brings freedom from bondage, and happiness comes when we can effectively deny the power of anything to touch or trouble us. Okay, so denial is a great tool. But I feel like we skipped a step here. A step must come before this. Before we can deny our fear, we have to first recognize it. We have to acknowledge that we're in a state of fear. That I came to understand was some of my problem. I didn't even realize I was going down this slippery slope into the rabbit hole of fear. So, the tool that I started using to help me identify and acknowledge the fear is mindfulness. Mindfulness helps us be more self aware, more aware of our emotions, aware of our thoughts, and ultimately mindful of the love that's operating within us. It helps us to release our fear. So I do this mindfulness work by constantly asking myself questions, particularly when I notice I'm in that state of discomfort. Okay, so these are like self inquiry questions. When I notice I'm uncomfortable, I'm like, I have to stop and go, wait, why? What's going on? So if you're uncomfortable with things happening in the world, let's do this together. Let's ask ourselves some questions like, what am I actually feeling here? Is this thing that I'm feeling about the fear of something? What am I afraid of? That is a huge question. Okay, so let me tell you something. Naming the fear, stating it out loud, helps me more effectively deny it. So think about that. Keep that in mind. Okay, next one. Is what I am feeling more powerful than God? That is a trick question, obviously. But asking it instantly helps me shift my attention and remember that the true power is in divine love, not in this fear. Next question. Can I think differently about this situation? Can I view it from a place of love? So the truth is, I'm uncomfortable these days because I love humanity. Okay, that's the reality. My love for humanity is a great thing to focus on instead of the thing I'm afraid of. Something to think about. Okay, next one. Who am I without this fear? Ooh. Without the emotion of fear, we are able to more easily remember the truth of who we are as expressions of God's love. So remember, they can't exist simultaneously. So that's what happens is it flips us to love. What could this fear be trying to teach me? There may very well be a lesson for us in our fears. And we don't learn it unless we ask ourselves about it and think about it. I personally think the lesson from my fear is to learn how to better manage my empathic nature. I have a tendency to take on other people's pain and suffering. And I think it's time for me to get a handle on that. Your lesson might be something different, but it's something to think about. What step can I take to feel better? Okay, feeling better matters. I'm going to say that again for the people in the back. Feeling better matters. Esther and Jerry Hicks wrote a book about how important it is to feel good. It's called Ask and It Is Given. And this matters because our emotions indicate our vibrational frequency. and they indicate our degree of alignment with source. So there's like an emotional guidance scale in the book, this list of all these different emotions. So the highest frequency emotion, guess what, is love. Okay. Well, guess what the lowest frequency emotion is? Of course, it's fear. So stopping to ask yourself, what step can I take to feel better right now is legit, powerfully effective spiritual work to make yourself feel better. I take that question seriously. And one of the things I just did last week is I removed my social media apps from my phone because I was on there too much and I was seeing too much negative, scary stuff. So that made me feel better. When I do see something in the world that causes me fear, I'm so lucky to live where I do, and I can go for a walk on the beach. I can just take my silly dog and go walk by the ocean, and that nature is so restorative and really makes me feel better instantly. And it's so easy and an easy way to lift my vibrational frequency. So, this is the last mindfulness question, and it is my favorite. Will anything change if I continue to worry about this situation? Nope, nothing's going to change if you keep worrying about it. That question helps me see that my fear has no power. It's not doing anything, it serves no purpose. It does not serve me, it doesn't serve humanity, it doesn't help the situation. There is no value or power in fear. And this helps me see the nothingness that it is. And that is releasing it, right? Remembering and realizing that our fears are actually nothing is really hard to do. Okay, it is. It's work. It's like a Jedi mind trick, I swear. One suggestion that Louise Hay gives in her book, I think it's from The Power. She says to think of fear the way you view images on a movie screen. She says what you see on the screen is not really there. The moving pictures are just frames of celluloid, and they change and disappear very rapidly. Our fears will come and go as rapidly as those pictures unless we insist on holding on to them. So we have to let go of them because they aren't really there. So, this last little thing I want to share with you comes from the great spiritual teacher and mystic Joel Goldsmith. And this really illustrates how we can use our mind to release fears and ultimately choose love. It comes from a Hindu scripture, and it's the story of the man who went into his bathroom in the middle of the night and he saw a snake on the floor of his bathroom. He was completely and utterly terrified. And as his eyes adjusted to the semi-darkness, he realized that it wasn't a snake. It was a coiled up rope. Don't you just instantly feel his relief, right? The color comes back to his face and he catches his breath and his heart rate slows down. He lost his fear and he saw what was really there. So I want you to think about the thing that you are fearing right now. Whatever it is, bring it to your mind. And I'm going to tell you what Joel Goldsmith has to say about it. He says, the snake you are looking at is a rope. That evil condition which you are looking at is not an evil condition at all. And get this. He says your attempt to get rid of it is what is perpetuating it. That really helped me shift the way I see the things that are making me fearful. He says you must release the condition, whatever it may be. Let it go, and then you have harmony. The snake disappears, and only the rope remains. We're not treating and praying for the snake that we're afraid of to go away. We're not treating necessarily, for human cruelty and these awful situations in the world to be healed and go away. We're treating to see the truth. The powerful presence of divine love will not remove a snake or cure a situation that isn't there. It will, however, respond to our spiritual work, to our choice to consciously release our fear and choose love. It's going to respond by showing us that God is all there is and that love is what's real. Okay, I better wrap this up. So my point is, if we are feeling discomfort, despair, chaos, frustration, anxiety, anger, it's all fear. If we are feeling fear, then that simply means we have work to do. That's all. We know that fear and all its other emotions are not our divine truth. It's just an indication that we have spiritual practice to do. We know there's only one other emotion we can feel. So we have a choice to make. We have mindfulness to practice. It doesn't mean we're failing at life. Okay, so that's a good reminder. It just means we have circling back to do. We have an opportunity to love ourselves and circle back to our truth. So one last great reminder, if you are feeling overwhelmed with how to choose love, listen to those lyrics from that Daniel Nahmod song, which is so wonderful. I love it too, Judy. That one line that says, "Once I decide to change my mind, God will show me how." You have a partner in this, okay? In case you forgot, we all have a partner. And we have each other, friends. Look at these great tools we have. We can do this. I can do this. I love you, CSL Midtown. Thank you so much for letting me work through my own stuff in a talk with you. And if you are watching live, I really hope you can join us on the Zoom after the service. I'll be on there. Go to cslmidtown.org, and down at the bottom, there's a Zoom link with a password. Come on, and we'll discuss all the things. Thank you, CSL Midtown.
Thank you, Cynthia. What a wonderful talk. And you gave us solutions to it as well. So that was awesome. So we'll see you over on Zoom in just a little bit. All right, everybody. Thanks for being here today. I'm going to do our New Minister Sacred Covenant Easy Prayer. You can read this along with me. You can download it from the website, cslmidtown.org. There's only one life. This life is God. Good. This life is God. This life is my life now. And knowing that I am one with this life that is God, I therefore know that I am one with all of its blessed expressions, which includes the presence of a new minister for my beloved spiritual community. Because I know that the highest purpose of my new minister is to express spirit, I therefore know that my new minister is a revelation of spirit as a principle. I further know that my new minister is the fulfillment of that which has been promised by God. For it is written, principle is not bound by precedent. It operates according to law, and it is always available to those who are willing to align themselves with it. As I stand in agreement with my beloved community, I see my new minister before me as inspiring spiritual oneness through wisdom, love, and authenticity. I now intend to experience my new minister in full cooperation and agreement with my community, knowing this truth about myself. For I am inspired to live as love in the expression of principle. I am awakening the wisdom within me by clearly communicating the principles of universal truth. I am a conduit of divine love, wisdom, and healing energy, recognizing the inherent wholeness within all beings. I am offering teachings, classes, and mystical studies grounded in spiritual principles to cultivate inner wisdom, personal transformation, and empowered living. I am extending the love, compassion, and transformative power of spirit into the wider community, fostering connections that heal, uplift, and support individuals in their unique journeys. As I now accept the highest expression of a new minister into my life, I know that they will be revealed in a way that will express spirit and serve the highest and greatest good of all who are touched by their presence. I am grateful God is gracious, and so it is. Thanks for that. And now it's time for our conscious giving. As a piece of this, you can go to cslmidtown.org/donate. You can scan the QR code that pops up on the screen with our affirmation of prosperity. And we appreciate all of you who come every Sunday, support us, and share this with others so that we can grow and increase that. And say with me our affirmation of prosperity. I live in a universe of abundance. As I freely and joyfully give, I join in the divine flow, and all that I share with life returns to me multiplied abundantly. And so it is. All right. I want to thank Judy Ailey for being our practitioner today, Reverend Cynthia for being our speaker, wonderful minister today. Next week is the first Sunday of the month, so we will be in person and online at the Garden Hills Community Center in Atlanta. Dr. Bob Dean is going to be our speaker, and he's going to talk about what's the point anyway. Our adult study group meets at 10 a.m. on Sunday mornings on the Zoom. You can get there at cslmidtown.org. Scroll down to the Zoom link, click on that to get there. They're going through the Science of Mind textbook. You don't have to have read it to come and talk, but they're there. Upcoming, we've got this auction that we have been working on. It's an online auction. Consider donating, reaching out. You should be seeing emails now on this, so pay attention to that. Look at those. It will also be posted on our website and on Facebook. So look for those things. Donate things that you would like to pass on to others, or and then take a look at things that you might like to acquire through that auction. And like I said, you can download the New Minister Sacred Covenant Easy Prayer from our website as well. So join us after this on Zoom for our discussion with Reverend Dr. Cynthia. And now, let's do our affirmation of life. I leave this place now knowing something better than I knew before. I go forth into the world with a heart full of love and a mind full of good sense. Looking at the world in a greater way, I know that I have within me everything I need to create the life I desire. I give thanks for this understanding, and I am grateful for the spirit of life that lives through me. And so it is. Thanks, everybody. Have an awesome week.